Welcome to the Super Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the new Super Gamer Podcast, episode 154. Our guests this week, guests plural, it's a, well, we're going to get into this. It's a 7-piece, a 12-piece rock fusion VGM band based in Jacksonville, Florida. We have the Limit Breakers, who just released their debut EP, Iron Fist, songs from Tekken 2. We have 3 of them, that is. We have audio engineer Alex Garcia, drummer Paul Butler, and band leader / trumpet player Jisun Hughes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us, Mark. I'm so happy to be here.
So maybe we should just start with the 7, the 8. How many people are actually in the band?
Ain't that the question?
Yeah, it's 7 of us.
Okay.
It used to be a lot more, believe it or not.
Right. Well, I know because you kind of recently decided to steer away from the multi-track videos on YouTube and really be more of a live band, and pared it down for that, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. We're actually in the middle of starting phase 2 of the Limit Breakers, which is going to be live, basically from now on. But yeah, we started off on YouTube, and we can get into our background whenever you want. But yeah, it's been a journey thus far.
Well, this is sort of I believe, the second paring down of the band, because you started in April 2020, and as you said just a second ago, it was a big band, and then you kind of took it back from there and became a YouTube band, so to speak, a virtual band, and I think you had about 12 members at the time, but now you're down to 7, so I guess my question is, how do you decide who stays in the band, and is there any bad blood from that?
Oh wow,
that's quite a question.
Yeah, it is. I'll let Paul take that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you said we used to have 12 members, and then it shifted. We really didn't have concrete numbers, I feel, until we started doing live band music, because it was a lot of, okay, who's going to play on this project? Okay, we're going to have these people play on this project. If one person can't do it, one person sits out. And we had an in and out rotation, especially early on in our first year, of I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but upwards of 15, 16 people.
We had 18 at one point, and with upwards to 22 with guest musicians.
I didn't know that.
Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild, because a big thing too early on is because and Jisun obviously should talk about this because it was kind of her idea, but when we first started out, she basically put a feeler out on Facebook that said, hey, I want to do this super cool VGM band because it's COVID and we're all trapped inside. Who's in? And then everyone and their mom was like, I want to be in a VGM band. And so we started off with a lot of people, and I kind of took a couple covers and a couple songs for us to kind of figure out who was in it for the long run, who wanted to be a part of it, and all that stuff. And yeah. I can't speak too much on Bad Blood, but as far as I know, we've talked to a lot of the people that have been rotating in and out, and most of the time, I believe it's been pretty understandable, pretty chill, and usually I feel like a lot of people have excused themselves because of life or because of just other commitments getting in the way, because when we all started out, most of us were students in college too, so a lot of us were like, I'm in college, I can't do this. So
yeah. Long story short, I think I can speak to the things he can't, but basically there were a few bad characters that we did get out early on. I'm not going to name them because that's in the past and we're moving forward from that, but we eventually settled on 7, just because as a marketing number, it's already a huge group. 7 just seemed to be perfect for what we're trying to do in the live setting. And early on, as Paul said, it was interesting how we would arrange these projects, because it was really just a lot of people were just doing it because it was the pandemic and they didn't have much to do. We didn't necessarily kick anybody out. It just kind of came down to they they would essentially just find something else to do, or life, just like Paul said. So that's really what it came down to. It was a unique start, I would say.
Alex, are you? I know, like, you're actually going to be playing VGM Con saxophone with the band, but are you technically part of the Seven?
That's a great question. I think.
Now's
I don't
the
know.
time to find out.
I'm real bad at math. No, I think so, I guess. I mean, I was asked maybe a little over 6 months ago to play saxophone with the group full time, and have kind of arrangements built with the idea of me playing on them if I could. So yeah, I think so. And I've been lucky enough to play, I think, probably all four at some point in this group. I've played soprano, tenor, alto, and bari. So I'm here, and I'm happy to be a player as well as be involved on the post-production end of things.
Right. Yeah, he is definitely heavily involved in the group, even after YouTube group stuff wraps. He's not technically a part of the main lineup because we have Joe Henderson on violin, and when Joe can't sub in for live stuff, or when Joe can't do live gigs, we do reach out to Alex and some other people that we have on our sub list. But yeah, basically Alex is a breaker through and through. He's been here since project number 4, I think.
Rogue Port, I believe, was his first.
Or 3
Yeah,
or 4, I think.
Jesus Christ, what a disaster.
But
Now I need to hear about that. What's that story?
Oh man, we've never been on a talk show where we haven't talked about Rogueport, I feel like.
Oh my god, Rogueport is like the black mark on the channel that I'm definitely highly considering scrubbing entirely off the year 1 list.
It was a lot. I kind of came in very last minute on that project, and I had some engineering background, not a whole lot. But I was asked to come in, and through a mutual friend of ours, actually, of Jisun and I, and she said, "Hey, we really need somebody to wrap this project up. It's not going the way we need it, and we're on a tight schedule. We need to get this out." And that was, oh Jesus, maybe like 50 tracks of stuff. There was flute and a full wind section. There were strings everywhere. They had a cello, I think. It was just, and like concert percussion in addition to drum set. So it was, for I think a first project of like really hitting the ground running, a lot.
When I told you earlier the 22 musicians, that was that project.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was that project. Well, what's kind of funny about that project too is that even though it was like a crazy mess, it's also one of the ones I'm most proud of, because I think I did like a 11-hour recording session for that day where I just locked myself in my college percussion studio and recorded every single percussion part. And did it all in one day, and I was just constantly saying them to Jisun, like, does this sound good? Does this sound good? I'm not going to be able to do this again. Does this sound good? And so it was just, that one was wild. But every cover, I feel like we've improved and gotten better. We figured out what we're good at, what we're maybe not so good at, and we've created some really beautiful stuff that I'm really proud of. Even the ones that we aren't so proud of, I'm still proud of. And I think you guys would resonate and agree with that.
So, Jisun, you recently, about 2 months ago, said on the Limit Breakers Twitch channel, you were talking about how you're moving away from the multi-track video covers, and you actually said you're no longer going to do these videos that people know you as and love you as. So that's a big decision. Like, how did you come to that, and were you scared, like, people aren't going to like what we're doing now?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, it has been many sleepless nights thinking, is this the right decision for us? I took a whole year to come to that realization. Like, we can't keep splitting hairs between these two things. Like, we have to choose. You know, we don't. What it came down to, Mark, really was, we don't have the resources to run both groups. I also wanted to narrow down who the Limit Breakers actually were as a group, as a band, and it's these 7 or 8 core people that have been here through thick and thin, and essentially, you know, it took me like a lot to come to that decision, because it is something like we love doing. You know, it's something that I'm forever grateful for, is the love and support we've gotten on YouTube and on these YouTube videos, and seeing those comments. It was definitely a source of fulfillment for us at the time. This definitely during the peak of the pandemic. But, you know, as you know, things started opening up, people could go outside again and get sun, you know, without fear of, you know, just getting so sick that bad things will happen. But we were like, you know, I put another filler out. I was like, hey guys, this has been on my mind a lot. I really want to start doing live performances. And they all just like lit up, because I feel like that's where we thrive as musicians, is we want people to hear our art in person. We want to share that love and joy in person. And I think that's what really drove my decision, was I'm going to take a chance. We're going to take a chance and see where this goes. And my goodness, the amount of support we've had ever since we started live music has been tremendous. Like, but I guess sorry for the long thing, but to end to end the point here, I think it was scary, but I do not regret taking the band live, and choosing that as our future journey, because I think it's just gonna provide more opportunity for people to hear what the Limit Breakers have to bring.
You know, kind of jumping up off of that point, I really feel like one thing that was really important with what Jisun was saying is like really establishing who the Limit Breakers were, because I feel like it has been, you know, like we were kind of talking about earlier, with a constant influx of rotating musicians and rotating people. You know, it gets a little confusing on like, okay, so like, this is a band, but who's like in the band, you know, like, and I think being able to have and you know, like, you can do that with YouTube covers too, and you can establish like, okay, this is our core group, we are only going to use these people, but then that just creates a whole nother influx of problems, and it just kind of really felt like the right decision. And we experimented a lot this last year with doing YouTube covers and doing live group covers, and one of the things that we as people really noticed is that we really love connecting with people, and there's such a difference between creating art and putting it online, and being live with people, hearing people play, seeing their like in-person reactions, and seeing them like actually really enjoy that. And I feel like it's just such a different connection, and I feel like we were just connecting with people on levels that we never experienced through YouTube. And I feel like it just opens so many more opportunities. It helps kind of establish who our members are, who we are as people, and it also takes, you know, a small thing, because you know, we obviously want to create as much as we can, but it takes a lot of stress off too, and it's just kind of like, hey, we can focus on making this one thing really, really good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we're really excited to see where this takes us.
Well, along the lines of taking some stress off and getting really excited, it sounds like you got a little too excited as far as starting live performances, because last year you had too many, to the point where
oh my gosh, you have done your homework, my friend.
Well, to the point where Iron Fist, the EP that we will talk about right away, was supposed to come out last August, but you overbooked yourself. It just came out just this past Friday. Can you tell us, you know, what's the stress like of having too many live performances? And were there any fights or blow-ups between any of you?
I would go as far as to say there was no, like, we get along all fairly well, you know. I've not really had any big issues with anybody in the group. As far as to my knowledge, I don't know what they're saying. No, I'm just kidding.
There have been no big fights. Especially about the album. The album was especially like this whole sort of having to push it back thing. It was always in the mindset of, we need to do what's best for all of us as a group. Are we okay with doing this so we all don't lose our sanity?
Yeah, exactly.
Was like, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Paul summed that up very well. There were no internal arguments, and when we, the thing I love about my guys is, like, when we have something that needs to be discussed seriously, we have a meeting about it. We talk about it. I don't think a lot of bands, especially a lot of like the bigger name bands, I feel like a lot of those groups don't do that enough, and that's probably why they break up. But I feel like we have a really good thing going here, you know, with the people that we have in the group currently that have helped me build this thing up. We get along really well, and yeah, it's good vibes, good times.
You know, of course, that there was like scheduling of live band stuff that was stressful, but there was also some licensing stuff that got in the way of the album getting out on time. But we can, of course, talk about that later.
And we will.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
When an album gets delayed like that, do you ever, I'm going to compare it to like when a game decides to switch engines. Like, do you kind of start second guessing? Like, maybe we should change this now that I have a time to think about it?
Yes. That thought crossed my mind so many times. And we have a management team that helps me run this group. Paul's actually part of that, social media. But unfortunately, Kyle couldn't do today. Sundays are just really hard for him. But I consult a lot with Kyle and Kylie, our coordinator, on things. And basically, Paul and Alex kind of serve a little bit as our advisors too when we prompt their, you know, opinions. And essentially, you know, I was talking to Kyle and Kylie, and I was like, you know, I'm kind of wondering if this was a mistake going with this kind of sort of obscure album. You know, the point of it was to highlight a game soundtrack that I feel personally does not get enough love and respect. It was partially driven by nostalgia. It was partially driven by a want to like do something different than everyone else in the VGM community, and to prompt other people in the VGM community to like take chances and not just go with the easy, like Street Fighter, if you're gonna go fighting game soundtrack, or anything, you know, like Final Fantasy, like for JRPGs, which, you know, ironic, we are a Final Fantasy named band, and we do have Final Fantasy covers, but basically I wanted us to do something that could be both familiar and different at the same time. And we really by the time we got into this whole thing with the licensing thing, we were already really deep in, and I was like, you know what, we just need to put this thing out there. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. We just gotta set a new schedule, set some new guidelines, and let's just go for it. And they did. We all buckled down after the last gig wrapped, and we just pushed to the end and made the album happen.
I do want to give a shout out to, so on Thursday, the day before your album officially dropped, you had a listening party on Gaku Overdrive, and I want to give a shout out to Gaku, who does not know me, and I don't really know them, but obviously I watched, and certainly am building off of that. A lot of this, there's going to be overlap for some questions, which I always feel a bit weird about, like they clearly had it before I did, but it is the nature of interviews, so shout out to them.
Yeah, no, hell yeah, we love Kent Ward. Love you, brother.
So we love. Sorry, I was just gonna say we love him.
The licensing issues, yes. Because of that, your album has basically 2 secret rooms on it. not on Spotify because of the licensing, but on Bandcamp, people get 2 extra tracks, 5 total. Are you worried at all about, like, can anything happen at this point as far as the licensing?
So as far as I understand, Bandai Namco can issue us a cease and desist. They can tell us to take it down, and if that happens, we will happily oblige. I do have to point out we did our very best to go the entirely legal route, and that's actually what further delayed the album, because we had actually been done with these tracks like 2 months before release.
December, actually.
Yeah. We wrapped up the album in December, and then we were waiting for Bandai Namco to get back to us because we had to go through custom song licensing service to see if they could it was Easy Songs custom song licensing service to try to prompt Bandai Namco to give us a response on whether we had the okay to do these 2 additional tracks that were only on the Japanese album, or if they did not give us permission. Well, they did neither of those things. They basically ignored us. And so I made the executive decision, like, I would like people to hear our art. I respect Bandai Namco. I respect their intellectual property. It is their intellectual property. But as a member of the VGM community and someone who is a big proponent for celebrating video game music in its fullest, and hoping for better licensing laws to help support cover artists, I wanted to take a chance. I wanted to make a statement and saying, you guys have every right to not say yes or no to us, but we love your stuff, and we made this album that I feel like is a love letter to the stuff you created back in the 90s, and we want people to hear it. And so I just kind of put them up on Bandcamp as bonus tracks, and if they tell us to take the album down, we'll re-upload it with the 3 licensed tracks, and then admittedly, I'm putting this out into the universe. We'll just go bootleg with it. It's fine.
You did mention there your band is named after Limit Breaks, Final Fantasy VII and beyond, but Final Fantasy VII in particular is what you named it after. And you did mention that you've done that music before, and I believe you do have an FF7 ska album coming later this year through Game Grooves Alliance. Hey, apologies, I screwed this up. The FF7 ska album is not a Limit Breakers album, though the Limit Breakers will be on it, but it's a Game Grooves album with lots of different bands, and it's also through Ska Punk International. So yeah, now back to the show. But how is it that Tekken 2 took precedence? Why not start with what the band was named after?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that was the expected thing, right? Like, people probably expected, like, well, they're named the Limit Breakers, so they're gonna probably release a Final Fantasy VII album, and that would have been the easy way, right? That would have been the very easiest thing to do, and probably would have prompted more popularity and more interest in the first album. However, again, so it actually, here goes a little story for you related to this. So it was like some point November of 21. I was at the Georgia-Florida game, go Dogs, and essentially I got on a phone call with Kyle, assistant band leader now, and guitarist of the Limit Breakers, and we were just talking and chatting, and then I was letting him know, like, hey man, this one soundtrack's been in my mind, like, playing over and over again, and I think this should be the first album we do. I think we should do an entire EP of Tekken 2 tracks. And originally I wanted 7 tracks, but I could only twist people's arms enough for 5. Like, there were a few of them that were that I super wanted to include, like Nobody Catch Me, which is Michelle Chang's theme, and the other one was Bekto-san's theme. The name escapes me, but it would have been so cool because it would have tied into what I wanted to do for the album originally, which was to highlight all the cultures, or as many cultures as I could possibly do like cultural music from the game, because it is such a diverse game if you look at it. Tekken did that really well, I think. As a series, it's always strived to include a diverse cast of fighters. So yeah, like us being named after a JRPG, which we definitely hold, near and dear. I hold near and dear for sure. And there's not to say that that's not coming down the pipe, but I wanted to just throw like a, I guess like a curveball, and be like, hey, I think this would be cool. Nobody else is doing this, so let's give it a shot.
We also had a joke for a while, or at least Kyle and I did. I don't know if Jisun thought it was funny. We were joking for a while that, well, guys, we gotta be called the Limit Breakers, and then we just gotta tease people forever and never release a Final Fantasy album.
No, I did not find that funny.
Yeah. That's what I thought. It's really it was one of those things where we were pitched the idea, and I know at least for me, I was kind of skeptical about it too, but and Kyle talks about this a lot when he talks about the album and the initial pitch of it, but it was kind of okay, I don't know a lot of music from this game, let's check it out. And then we listened to a lot of the tracks, and it was just kind of like, yeah, man, these rock. These are so good. And the tracks that Jisun picked, I know were like really special and personal to her, but I think they are really just special tracks, and like her and Kyle put their like heart and soul into every single one, and it really comes across in every single
Oh yeah.
And Alex did too with all the mixing,
Got special props to Alex, Ray, and Josh, on our audio engineers, for all the hard work they've put into this.
It takes a village for sure, and they killed it. I think I'm pretty proud of this end result. I had the CD on in my car yesterday on my drive back from Jacksonville. I'm out of Orlando area, so it's a couple-hour drive, but I put it on, and I was pleasantly surprised to go through the whole record and go, you know what? There's really not a whole lot I'd go back and change. I'm pretty happy with this as a unit and how it came together to tell a story through those 5 songs specifically. The ending with Emotionless Passion, and I don't know, that one I think I did 98% of the work on myself, so I feel a special attachment to the way it ended and how it ended and the statement it leaves. I don't know a lot of the music from this game either. I don't game as much as these gamers do. But I've ended up falling in love with the music too, just through the arrangements and through the life that got breathed into these. So I'm honored to be a part of it, and I think what we have here is something really, really different in a very, very good way.
And I would hope that I think that all of our hopes is that for everyone who's never played Tekken, or anyone who's never listened to Tekken, or people who always just see it in the arcade and they're just like, oh yeah, that's one of those fighting games, I think that all of our hope would be that they hear this and they're like, wow, this music is really beautiful and it says something, and I want to know what they're saying and what this music is that really just inspired Jisun and all of these people to create this amazing product. We really hope that it just inspires more people to be into fighting game VGM, because I think it's one of the coolest, it just really is one of the coolest mediums for video game music. And this album really helped me discover that, and I think it helped a lot of us discover that, and we hope that it helps our listeners discover that as well.
How have you, the album's only really been out for a couple days. We'll say 2.5 because of the listening party on Thursday and then the listening party on Friday. How's the response been so far?
Overwhelmingly positive, I feel. For us, I feel like, that That is, I guess it's subjective. Some people are just glad to get like one or two album sales, right? For us, like it's been crazy. We've had like 30 to 40 orders. 19, well, it was like 22 alone have been CDs, which is amazing to me. I mean, I'm just shocked. I'm in shock that people care enough about that, and some people have purchased multiple copies, and I was like, wow, was unexpected. There's been a lot of digital downloads. There's been a lot of, for us, a lot of CD copy down or purchases, and it was way more than I expected, and yeah, it just means so much, like, to see the response that we've gotten just in this short amount of time.
I think the moment that we really were like, holy crap, people were listening to this, is we had a CD sale from, I believe it was Iceland, was it?
Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yep.
Yes, we had a CD sale from the Netherlands, and we were all just kind of like, oh, wow. We have like a foreign audience too, even if it's just one person, it's like, it's cool, at least for me, that was the moment where I was like, holy crap, people are like buying our music, listening to our music. And I think more than anything, we more are just measuring our success by just, at least for me, how proud we are of the product that we made. If nobody listens to it, then we created something that we're really proud of and that we feel is really special. And if the 30-something people that have listened to it, then awesome, and I think for me too, like, just seeing support from other people in the community, like Alan from Game Groups has been a big one. What a teddy bear. I love that man. I've only met him once, but I met him and instantly was just like, this is the warmest, kindest, like, friendliest human being I've ever met.
Yes.
And then Kent from Ongaku Overdrive has been like our biggest fan since day one. And so many other people in the community, like Ro, who made our pre-release video, which blew my mind, by the way, because I've been a fan of him since before we started doing the band, and I was like, what? And just all these other amazing people in the community that have been buying our album, retweeting, plugging our stuff, and I'm just like,
yeah. Grant Henry, Stemage was another one. He bought our digital album. I was very happy. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and actually I'm friends with Ro on Facebook. Like it's like, it's weird. Like, I know all these people, and then like I end up like casually talking to them. I'm like, what is happening? I literally have been your fan ever since you've started doing this. And then I'm gaining friendship with you. What is this?
Ro will actually be our guest next week.
That is amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, if anybody deserves to be interviewed, that man definitely does. He does so much for the community and for so many people in the community. He's a really awesome guy.
We have one very special fan, Paul's dad, who is in the Discord and was at the listening party.
Oh my gosh,
Mr. Pete. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Mr. Pete he said some really interesting things that night.
Is he also? I think he said one time, it might have been in the Discord, that he normally uses it for esports. Is your dad like a big esports fan?
Yeah. So, man, you did your research. This is cool.
Seriously.
Yeah. So my dad, first of all, like, a lot of boys say this. I'm 24. I don't know why I said boy, but my dad really is like my superhero. He's like my biggest supporter, my biggest fan, and he's the reason I'm playing drums too. Because when I was a kid, I grew up watching him play drums, And I was that stupid like 10-year-old that was like, I want to be just like my dad. And so I learned to play drums because of him, and he taught me how to play. And throughout my entire life, throughout my entire career, he's just been the number one fan. Buys all my stuff, comes to as many shows as he can. He was in the Twitch stream on Gaku Overdrive, and was just he was just gassing everything up. And he even showed off our music in a meeting he had. He showed it to all of his friends. He's just been constantly showing it off. But to answer the esports question, yes. So he has had a couple of interesting interactions with the esports world. Some of it from his job, and a lot of it from just him existing. His first real sort of foray into it is my dad is a national champion cyclist. He won the national senior games, I believe 2-3 years ago now. It was forever ago. But he is a competitive nationally ranked cyclist in America. And one of the big things that ended up happening during COVID is people couldn't go outside anymore. So he got really into this game called Zwift, which is a game where you race. You basically race bicycles indoors on like a trainer. And he ended up joining a team. He ended up joining a team. I believe they're called Dirt. It's called it stands for Dads Indoors Riding Trainers or something like that.
That's so creative.
Yeah, right. And they ended up doing a lot of Twitch streams and being like a competitive esports team, I believe. And it's funny, he ended up, before TLB got really kicked off, he was more into Discord and more into Twitch than I was, which was really funny. I actually bought him this year for Christmas. I bought him a Twitch shirt. It was just a large shirt that said Twitch on it. He wears it everywhere. But his other foray, I believe, I actually don't know how much I can talk about it because I don't know how much of his job is classified or not, but he does a lot of work with the League of Legends community through his job. He works at Cisco, and so he has a League of Legends teams that he helps promote and support, and he goes to a lot of big events for that. So he's he's as involved with the gaming community as I am, if not more so. So yeah, he's so cool. He is my biggest fan, and he is also just the coolest guy you'll ever meet. He's one of those people that it's just if he wants to do something, he's just going to do it,
Well, speaking of esports and shirts, the Limit Breakers shirts that you wear are jerseys with your names and numbers on them. What's the significance of it being a jersey, and what number are each of you and why?
That's such a good question.
Yeah, wow. No one has ever asked us that question before. That's really great. So I got the idea to really formalize our uniform, make uniformity in our group, because I see a lot of groups, they go on stage, they wear whatever they want, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, I want to put that out there. But for us, I really wanted us to really solidify unity and be uniform, because I guess maybe I got that from my former occupation being an army musician. But I really saw these esport jersey as an opportunity to kind of stand out and be a little different and also look cool, because everybody wants to look cool on stage, right? The number 3 for me is significant because I love odd numbers. My favorite numbers are 3, 5, 7. Hands down. I like single digits. And 3 is my favorite, and it probably is because I was born April 3rd. So it's just kind of hey, 3. That's my number. So that's what it is for me.
Alex and Paul.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna wait for Alex.
Oh no, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alex, you have a jersey too. Talk about your jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll go first then. So mine, I think, is 13, if I remember correctly, and I requested that number because it's just always been my lucky number. I was born on Friday the 13th, and I don't know, something being counter to like, oh, it's bad luck, but in my case, it's always been, and I've heard that from other people who were born on like a Friday the 13th or whatever, that it has ended up being their lucky number. Oddly enough, if I'm listening to music or like a TV or stereo or anything, I have to have it on even numbers. So I don't really know where that 13 is like the exception. I'll keep it on 13, but yeah.
That's so cool. I didn't know you were born on Friday the 13th.
My birthday is actually tomorrow.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday, buddy.
Yeah, seriously, bruh. I don't even know if that's in the calendar. What?
Yeah, back in 1998, the 13th was a Friday. So.
Oh my goodness, you're so much younger than me.
Yeah, Paul and I didn't know Paul and I were the same age. That's kind of cool.
We are. And you were born on Friday the 13th. I was also born on a funny birthday. I was born on 6/9/98. So I was early born on 69. Funny enough, that's not the number.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Funny enough, that is not the number on my shirt. My number's kind of weird. My number is 17, and really the only reason I like that number, I think, is because it was the year I graduated high school, and that number's just always stuck with me. But I also think it's like, I really like underdogs, and I really like people and things that don't get a lot of love, and I feel like the number 17 is one of those numbers that just doesn't get a lot of love. And so I'm like, I'm gonna represent the number 17. So
sweet, Paul.
Yeah.
Aww.
Nah.
So wholesome.
What about, okay, Paul, your favorite game series is Kingdom Hearts.
Correct, yes.
Jisun, you said at the listening party on Gaku Overdrive that if Paul wants you guys to do a Kingdom Hearts album, he's really got to sell you on it. So this is your chance, Paul. Sell away.
Man. All right, here we go. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. We did a Tekken 2 EP. Here's what we do. We do a Kingdom Hearts 2 album, and we take all of the most iconic tracks from the album, right? We bust out Lazy Afternoon Streets, right? We bust out the 13th Struggle, Axel's boss theme, one of the coolest boss themes ever. We could totally get like some sick trombone lines in there, some sick saxophone lines in there. We can get our Sanctuary cover out that everyone so desperately, and by everyone I mean me, so desperately wants us to do. Could be sick. A tribute to Kingdom Hearts 2. Gonna let you think on that one.
I will definitely think about it. It's still not happening before this next idea.
No, this next idea that we have is definitely the priority. But that is a game series we've actually never really delved into that I've always wanted to. Like ever since we started the band, I was like, hey, I like Kingdom Hearts. We should do Kingdom Hearts music. And a big part of it is because I've never really arranged. And I think that, and it's not because I haven't had the opportunity. It's just because I feel like I just really struggle with sitting down and finishing something. And that's something that I've always had a hard time with. And arranging specifically is something where I've always sat down, gotten like halfway through it, and I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. And it's just a skill I need to work on. But that is something that I personally would love to see us do one day. Actually, Jisun and I both have Kingdom Hearts tattoos. Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one on my ankle, and Jisun has one on her forearm as a tribute to her late nephew.
That is correct.
But I think that would be a really fun thing to explore one of these days.
Alex, what about you? You said you're not as much of a gamer, but do you have a favorite series, and do you have one that you would love to really do the music for?
Yeah, I grew up kind of, weirdly enough, in my grandmother's house with my cousin Ray, who is also on the audio team here. we grew up and at our grandmother's house, we had our dad's or his dad's old Nintendo system. So we actually played like the original Mario Brothers game on that. And that was kind of our first and Duck Hunt, with the orange gun and everything. So we grew up on that, and that kind of sparked a love for that. But I've always loved Pokemon. That's always been like my game series. I have played most of them all the way through. I liked the long form kind of like you have to go and build from nothing and get to the end goal and see what's going on with that. And also the variety between generations, has always been interesting to me. I don't know. I would love to see some of the music from that. We did Route 216, which was pretty fun. Snowden Town. So we've done a little bit of that. But I think there's always room for more if we can find a specific theme or something from there to keep going with that. Route 216 was the first project I played on, I believe, because it was right after Rogueport. And they needed a berry sax, so I borrowed one from the school. But no, I would love to see more Pokemon music covered in kind of the styles that we're doing. I think we have a unique style thing, and I think it would fit really well with a lot of that.
My main takeaway there, I am so upset that the Nintendo is at the my dad had this ancient relic.
Oh my God.
Well, and it's kind of funny because it's like you see people who still have those, and like the thing like half works. There's lines on the screen and whatever. It was CRT TVs and whatever, and that one worked perfectly. So we were like, we probably ran that thing into the ground, but. It was fun because it was like, oh, here's this thing that seems old and it works great. Like there's not a thing wrong with this. It's still playing the games great. And, you learn how to troubleshoot the thing too, because it had its issues and would crap out sometimes. But it was fun. It was like, oh, this was something our dads got to play with. So now like we get to enjoy it too. And it still works great. And it gave us a love for, the start of that and games going on.
Let's talk about your I believe, next live performance. Maybe there's something going on between, but you'll be performing at VGM Con next month, which I will be going to, so I will definitely be checking you out. You did say on Ongaku Overdrive that you would be making the set list this weekend. Can I ask about it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on.
I don't know.
It depends on. You can ask about it.
Well, I guess how much are you willing to say? What's the set list going to be?
I will give you this. There will be 6 different Zelda tracks that we will be covering and doing live versions of at VGM Con. We might do some old stuff, but that's all I'll tell for now.
All right. Do you have any more fundraising streams coming up? Because you've been on the Limit Breakers Twitch, you've been fundraising to go to the show.
Yeah, the fundraiser's kind of staled out a little bit, but we have raised over $1,800, which my freaking gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am to every single person that has donated. So if you're one of the people that have donated and are listening to this very wonderful podcast, thank you. Thank you so much for believing in us enough to want us to live our dream a little bit here and go and perform for our community members, our fans and in person. And it's crazy to me. But we're gonna keep pushing actually for another week. And then we're gonna really just get to the grindstone and work out our set for VGM Con, which is very difficult set, I will say. But it's gonna when we get it locked down, it's gonna be an amazing set. You're gonna have a great time.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. We ran through a majority of it. What was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
And wow, I'm having fun. I'm having fun playing, so I'm excited to get up there and do the real thing.
Yeah, I think we have some really good songs that we're playing, really fun ones that we were really popular in our old live set. some really great songs that no one's ever heard us play before. I think that people are really going to dig what we're bringing. And, going
very diverse, too. Very diverse. Like, in like, style.
A lot of different styles, a lot of different video games that we're representing. So it should be really fun. Going back onto the live stream thing a little bit, I will say whenever Jisun and I kind of put that idea together, we weren't we put it together, and I was like, yeah, let's just see how much we get. And in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, I mean, if we get like $500, that'd be neat. That would be crazy. That's about where I see us getting to. I heavily underestimated the VGM community, and I think within like a week we well surpassed that, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, we raised 1,000 in a week.
Yeah,
at least it was. Yeah. It was crazy, and part of that was Iron Fist really helped, build that hype too. I think. It's crazy because it seems like daily more and more people are finding out about us. More and more people are subscribing to our YouTube. More and more people are like checking us out and following us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's crazy. We don't really like to consider ourselves like really super active on socials. Like, we've only really been active because we've been prepping for this album, really. And we do post when we got something exciting to share. We don't really do like the whole intentionally daily social media post. Not that we don't think that's important, but we just we have a problem with like algorithm grinding, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I tried doing that early on, and I got drained within like 2 weeks. I was like, I can't handle this. And so, because I remember it was, especially on Twitter, there was a period where like I had like daily posts planned that were coming up, but it just burns you out so quick,
Yeah.
Last thing I'll ask here. So I know Jisun and Paul, you went to MagFest this year. I believe it was your first MagFest. This will be I've been to cons before. I've been to PAX East, for example, and then some local ones here in Winnipeg. But I've never been to an exclusively VGM Con. And it is called VGM Con, but you know what I mean. But any advice for a first timer? What should I be doing?
Absolutely. Biggest things I can say: make sure you hydrate, make sure you eat, make sure you give yourself time to breathe too. Like, there's so many exciting things to go do, like all the music, concerts, all the panels. But if you need a breath of air, if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the noise, all the people, if you're feeling overstimulated, please go, like, whether that is to retreat to your hotel room or go find a quiet area and just like spend some time there, and just chill out and then get back into it, because it can be overwhelming. MagFest was so wonderful. It was like, people were so welcoming. People knew who we were. Like, I was honored. Like, the people that I look up to, like the game brass, like Robbie Duguay, from across the way. Like, it was like there's an atrium area, right? And then there was like this long hallway, and then there's like elevators if you make a left or a right, depending on which side you're on. And he saw my Limit Breakers t-shirt, and he like chased after me to the elevator just to say hi to me. It was so surreal how supportive the community is. So going back to like, some tips for you is like, take it all in, talk to people, which you're really good at, by the way. So, engage in people that you want to talk to. They're so friendly. They want people to talk to them. I was very shocked. I'm not the best talker, but I was able to make so many friends or meet people that I've only been talking to exclusively online, and it felt like we've been friends forever. It's crazy.
I agree with all of that wholeheartedly. I was blown away by just how cool and innovative it was. And I would say my biggest advice would be, first of all, go to as many shows as you can, watch as many live shows as you can, accept the fact that you're not going to watch everything you want to watch because it's all crammed together and hard to see everything, but also like, you know, plan ahead, be like, okay, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this. You know, I had to bust out my old Warp Tour planning skills from back in the day, and you know, be like, all right, here are the shows I want to see, here's when they are, let's schedule how I'm going to get from here to here. You don't have to go that in depth, obviously, but you know, just plan out what you want to see. And then my biggest advice, because this affected me a lot, and this is the first time I've really like experienced it, bring ibuprofen, because your back's gonna
Yes.
hurt.
Your feet will hurt from all the walking. Oh yeah, wear nice tennis shoes. Don't wear boots or anything like that. You will regret it. Lots of
Jisun
walking.
and I, there was like, we wanted to go watch Metroid Metal, and we were just so tired, and like I was having such bad lower back pain that we just went back to the room and just laid down. And thankfully they were showing Metroid Metal on the TV, so we still got to watch them. But my back was just like caving in on itself, and I was like, I need ibuprofen.
Yeah. It was pretty rough, but yeah, like the one thing I liked about MagFest, I mean, I don't know if VGM Con will have this because it is pretty expensive, like to purchase broadcasting for your event, but essentially, like they had the main stage acts show up on the TV all like every time. Something I hope that they do next year is that they do both main stage and Belvedere at the very least, because it'll be really cool to you know, maybe they just have two or three different channels where they can broadcast each of those, and people can take you know, chance to or time to just like rotate out whatever they want to see. But it was really nice because you didn't have to be amongst everybody if you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling tired and from standing on your feet all day. It was really cool to have that feature of being able to watch on the TV.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope you have a great time.
I hope so too. I expect to.
Please stop and say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny, you mentioned, you know, thank you. You said I'm a good talker, but I think like you, Jisun, outside of this context, like I've done a lot of acting and singing and whatnot, but outside of the performance context, I'm actually very shy and probably won't make eye contact. So,
you're fine, dude. Like we're super loving and welcoming. I'd like to say a lot of people have told me personally that they think all my guys are cool and chill and give off good vibes, and so like none of us are in the business of being gatekeepy or elitist. Like we want everyone to talk to us, you know. So
cool.
I definitely want to talk to you in person and show my appreciation for having us on this podcast.
And you know, piggybacking off of that, I feel like in general with the VGM community, it's one of the warmest communities I've ever like experienced. Like you could just walk up to anyone and be like, hey, you're blah blah blah, and they'll be like, yeah, and then they're just like super friendly and cool. It's very, you know, coming from you know, I came from the classical percussion community, because that's where my college degree was in, which was a much more gatekeepy and less warm community, and this has just been a complete 180 of that, and a lot more of just everyone's friendly, everyone's fun, everyone loves each other, and you know, it's really, really cool, really nice.
Cool. Well, the band is the Limit Breakers. The album is Iron Fist. thelimitbreakers.bandcamp.com/album/iron-fist. You are TLBVGM on Twitter. On Twitch, The Limit Breakers VGM. And you can go to your link tree, The Limit Breakers. Jisun, Alex, and Paul from The Limit Breakers, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Mark. You are a wonderful human being. Thank you so much for having us. We are so happy to be here.